Welcome.
Along with me.
Oh, gnarly!
Oh my god, I shot my eye out.
Please go to 11.
Reading Starfighter.
Hasta la vista, baby.
14.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 40 Going on 14. I am Mike.
I am Patrick.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Josh. And if someone tells me you've always known something was wrong and holds out 2 pills, I'm taking both of them. Probably before any explanations are given.
If you take the blue pill...
Woo! A red one, too.
What would happen?
Or is there any reason he should not take the blue pill? Let me know right now.
Pills, baby!
I want to take the brown pill. Is that an
I
option?
want to take the brown
No,
pill.
then you're eating poop. Joel's a poop eater.
Is it chocolate flavored?
Sometimes, I guess.
Right.
Welcome to the quality you're expecting from this show. Yes, this week
Yeah.
we're talking about The Matrix from the Wachowskis, from 1999's first movie to the 2021 release that just came out like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, brand new.
We're going to get Patrick's going to do the entire show in bullet time.
And I'm going to do the entire show in black leather.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I'm going to do the entire show in sunglasses.
I'm going to eat pills.
Pills, baby!
Woo! Yeah, so if you'd like to get in touch with us, if you have another idea for a show, something you can do, give us a call at 708-NOW-RAP. That's 708-669-9727. And also join us on our Discord by clicking the Join Us link or copy-pasting that into a browser and get on that chat with us. Currently we're talking about the Beavis and Butthead remake, reboot, and the continuation. Yeah. And then also Toast of Tinseltown, Stephen Toast movies show with Matt Berry is another thing we're discussing right now. So,
you know, it's interesting with the Discord chat because the more things get segregated into like specific categories where people can talk about certain things in certain places, I keep thinking, you add another channel, we're going to get less chatter. We add another channel, we seem to get more chatter. It's bizarre.
Well, yeah, because like if someone's not interested in video games and I brought up a video game topic, or we're talking about D&D and someone barely has anything to say, they're just like, okay, I'm not participating in the Discord right now.
Yeah.
But if that's segregated to its own area and they could just go and talk about beer or music or whatever, general nostalgia, books, we have maybe a channel or 2 more than we need, but like we use them all.
Yeah.
I think it was a good idea.
Yeah. We have one just on shoes and clothes, and there's a chatter on that too.
Right?
I never thought my fans would be showing off their shoes to me, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you guys haven't been there, seriously, join us. It's fun.
Swing on by. Yeah, and we also have a show ideas chat. So if you have ideas, you can drop them in there, and everybody kind of tips in and gives their ideas. So yeah, get out there. Hurrah.
Yeah, get on Discord before they ruin it.
Yes.
Because it can't possibly remain this good.
No, did Microsoft buy them yet?
Uh-oh.
No, there are talks about buyout, but like it's so huge and so many people are using it. What I'm saying is it is inevitable that whoever they are, someone will ruin it. It cannot always stay this good.
Mm-hmm. And Danny DeVito, too. So, in the meantime, I think it's about that time.
It is.
This week in music, movies, and TV.
And sports.
Whoa.
And the sports. All right, so this week we're going with March 24th, 1999, the release of the original Matrix.
All right, so music. The number 1 song in the land was Believe by Cher. You don't believe?
I disagree, but I don't like the song enough to argue about it.
That makes me think when I was working at Trader Joe's, it's like after Christmas, and we had a case of those holiday rum cakes that they over-ordered on. So we just cut up a bunch of rum cakes and let them, everybody was going around eating rum cake. There was one dude who I worked with who had an amazingly low tolerance for alcohol. And he ate probably 3/4 of a rum cake. And then I found him in the aisle facing the shelves singing Believe to a can of soup.
Huh.
That was fun. That was interesting.
Well, say what you will.
Chunky clam chowder.
No. Say what you will about Cher, though. You got to give her some credit for having a career that has spanned literally decades.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is as I've expressed several times on several episodes, I am not a fan of auto-tune, and this is a song that features auto-tune, so it can go in the closet and suck an egg.
It kind of was the first song that featured on a big scale.
It was like the biggest hit that featured autotune. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the song
non-rap
either.
hit, yeah.
I would rather chew tinfoil inside my Chipotle burrito than listen to this.
Yeah.
And it was
I don't hate it that much, but yeah.
It was new enough for me that the auto-tune part of it was actually interesting and was like, maybe not a plus, but definitely not a negative. It was like, okay, this is something that sounds a little weird that I haven't heard before, especially not in a mainstream pop song. And at the time, it was different. And that's why I say,
don't like it.
I don't hate it, but it's one of those like, I kind of like it.
Yeah, see, I knew pretty much early on, as soon as auto-tune became a thing, I was like, don't like that.
See, Patrick's got the gift.
Yep.
When he knows something, he hears something, I know I'm going to hate that.
I can immediately quantify whether I hate or love it.
Haven't figured me out yet.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You're my Napoleon Dynamite enigma, like.
I'm trying to think, because I think you've occasionally switched opinions on stuff. Maybe not all the way from love to hate, but from hate to, okay, I guess it was fine.
Yeah, I have done that.
I think with this show, all of us have had a little bit of flip-flopping on a couple things here and there.
Sure.
Leave the boy in the well.
All right, so Amazed was released by Lone Star on March 22nd, and it was later named Billboard's Song of the Year for 1999. The following day, Living La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin was released and went on to sell over 8 million copies.
What's funny is I kind of believe Living La Vida Loca is the reason I don't remember Amazed. Like, I remember that Amazed existed, but I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember how it went, and I think that's Ricky Martin's fault.
Baby, I'm amazed by you.
Is that it?
Yeah.
It's not doing anything for me.
Yeah, I still don't remember. I'm upside.
I don't know. Yeah.
It sounds
upside,
almost
inside out.
country-ish. Yeah, I know the song.
It's what it is.
Every time my eyes meet.
Yep.
Every time my lips touch.
See, now I know it.
Yeah.
I
just need
think
Patrick
I
to
vaguely
sing
remember it.
Okay. Yeah.
Living La Vida Mocha.
Yeah, it's gone again.
Oh. In that case, moving on. The 1999 Soul Train Music Awards were held on March 26, honoring the best in R&B, soul, rap, jazz, and gospel music from the previous year. The show was hosted by Tyra Banks, Brian McKnight, and Monica. Winners included Quincy Jones, R. Kelly, and Lauryn Hill.
The Soul Train.
That's right.
I enjoyed Soul Train.
Me too, man. I used to love that show.
I remember that used to come on later in the evening on the UHF station, and I'd be like, "Oh, what's this? That's cool." And
I remember it would mark the end of Saturday morning cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I wouldn't turn the TV off because it was always just fascinating to watch these people dance. And I was like, man, I can't fucking dance.
That's
been
a good
something I
line.
wished I could do. I'm just not. I'm a poor dancer.
Yeah, I'm not much of a dancer either.
You are an entertaining dancer, though.
Entertaining for everybody but me.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
I have to get incredibly drunk to get out there and dance.
I danced at my wedding. I did the
once
the Gangnam Style. Yeah.
I danced a lot at your wedding, but I long ago got over the worrying about how it looks or whatever, and it's one of those things, the less you care about whether or not you're a good dancer, probably the better you get.
Yeah, and I just want to be a dancer so bad, and I know how awful I look, and I cannot shut that part of my brain off.
Yeah, I've never had that problem.
I mean, we had no problem grinding all over Joel.
Yeah,
no, that's true.
And then the dancing started.
Right? Hey, but women love when their men dance. So
I know that.
Together.
See, the problem is I am far too aware of all these things about dance and everything it entails and all the subtext. I'm far too aware of all that. And if I get out there and I dance like I'm some kind of a mental patient, then women are like, no.
like your Michael J. Fox on Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I do far more damage to myself going out there and dancing around like Elaine on Seinfeld than I do sitting at a table going, no, I don't think I'm going to be dancing right now.
That's why every time that you get out on the floor, we play. God damn it! I ruined the joke. Burning down the
story,
house.
Hansel.
Heads.
Cool story, Hansel.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, the Bee Gees ended their one-night-only tour in Sydney on March 21st.
I love the Bee Gees.
It must have been a short tour.
right? Dude,
Right.
that documentary about the Bee Gees that's on HBO is amazing. I never realized exactly how huge they got and how much of an impact they had.
And how
It's
talented
impressive.
Barry Gibb was as a
Oh yeah,
musician.
Yeah,
didn't
impressive.
who was the bald one?
Maurice.
Maurice.
Maurice Gibb.
Maurice. Yeah.
Yeah, he was it him or which one of them holds the record for having 4 consecutive number 1 hits in a row?
Oh, that was Barry.
Was it Barry?
Hmm.
Either way,
Or was it Andy?
Might have been Andy.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
probably Andy. Yeah, the youngest brother. Yeah. He was not
'Cause
a
he-
member of the Bee Gees, but yeah, he was his own.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he died young.
I was just shocked, like just completely floored. So anyway, that's music.
All right, moving on to movies. The number 1 movie in the land was, of course, The Matrix.
Yep.
What? Just kidding.
We're going to talk more about that later, so I'm just moving right on to the 71st Academy Awards ceremony, which honored the best of 1998 in film and took place on March 21st at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in Los Angeles, hosted by Whoopi Goldberg for the 3rd time. Shakespeare in Love won 7 awards, including Best Picture. Other winners included Saving Private Ryan with 5 awards, Life is Beautiful with 3, and Elizabeth, Gods and Monsters, The Prince of Egypt, and the acronym of the week, WDMC, which I'm pretty sure stands for Will Destroys Mike's Cock.
Whoa.
What?
Zamboni.
I don't remember any of this.
I almost couldn't get through that one.
Oh,
That explains so much.
I thought I erased all the tapes.
I wondered how it got that funny bend.
No, sorry, that is not the title. That is What Dreams May Come.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well,
Thank
the show had nearly 46 million U.S. viewers.
Prince of Egypt was a really good movie.
Never seen it.
That was the animated one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, good music. It was crap. Who did Shrek?
Hooty hoo!
Like
DreamWorks.
Yeah,
DreamWorks.
I think it was a DreamWorks gig. But good music, good animation.
And Gods and Monsters, I always confuse it with, there is a legendarily bad, I think it's a Civil War movie that has a similar title, and I can't.
Gods and Generals.
Is that it?
Yeah, Gods and Generals. It's like a 7-hour movie. My dad was a huge Civil War buff, and he went to go see that at the theater. They had a special release, and he went to go see it and everything. They had an intermission and a dinner and all this kind of shit.
Yeah, you guys remember Fred. Same deal. They went to see it opening night, and they were between like angry to the point of apoplexy and like laughing because it's like, how could it possibly be this bad?
And
Yeah,
movies
well,
like that, you stick around for the whole thing because you're like, there's no way it could get worse.
If you wonder who the people were that take that kind of thing seriously, well, there you go. My dad was one of them. My dad was a big Civil War. As he referred to the Civil War, it was the War of Northern Aggression.
Oh, jeez.
All right. The night before the 71st Academy Awards was the 19th Golden Raspberry Awards, and they were held in Santa Monica. Worst picture was an Alan Smithee film, Burn Hollywood Burn. Other winners included Bruce Willis, the Spice Girls, and Leonardo DiCaprio and himself as twins in The Man in the Iron Mask for Worst Screen Couple.
Aw, that's awesome.
See, I loved The Man in the Iron Mask.
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad. I enjoyed it. And the Spice Girls movie was fun.
I think it was more just that they wanted to go for the joke.
That could be. And it was like, at the time, dunking on Leo DiCaprio was trendy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably a combination of both.
They're making fun of me, Gilbert.
Jeez. Like that. That's exactly it. That's what we're talking about. All right. So, TV. The top shows in the land were Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, ER, Friends, and Frasier.
What is this, 1999?
Right?
That's late 90s.
All right. Tom Snyder's last show on The Late Late Show was on March 26th. The following Monday, Craig Kilborn, late of Comedy Central's The Daily Show, took his place as the show's host.
What's crazy?
I was going to tell you real quick, going back at a bullet point before we continue on this one. You said that's very 1999. If you only knew how 1999 that was, in the top 10 list, 3 of the top 5 spots were all Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Remember when that happened? I was like, well, I'm not going to type out Who Wants to Be a Millionaire 4 times.
What was like different versions of it?
No.
Remember they went through that thing where they oversaturated it and they played it every single night?
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Yeah.
It was huge every night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unlike Tom Snyder.
after like a month of every night, everybody's kind of like, yeah, is everybody over this? We're all over
Like,
this,
who wants
right?
to be a millionaire? Tom Snyder's like, me?
Yeah, because I forgot Tom Snyder was ever a host. Like, Craig Kilborn is the first one I can remember. Craig Ferguson.
The Daily Show? Yeah.
Oh,
Even James Corden, who I hate, but I remember him.
I think my favorite out of all the late is got to be Craig Ferguson.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and I've gone back and watched the old stuff again, and does it hold up?
Yeah, his interviews are hysterical.
If you have Amazon Prime, there's a documentary that he does about being on the road, and it's super good. I mean, it's great if you're a fan. It's even but even if you're not a huge fan of his, it's still really interesting.
I do like him. I should check that out.
Yeah, I'm adding it to my queue right now. What's it? Do you know what it's called? Off the top of your head? If not, I can just
it's something like Vagrant and something, but definitely check it out.
I love Jeff too. Jeff is funny.
Jeff the skeleton,
the robot.
Yes.
Yeah,
the rope. That the whole thing. I was like, the first time I remember I found some of the stuff on YouTube, and I was like, I told the girls, I'm like, here, you got to see this. Well, what are we gonna watch? It's kind of hard to explain. You just kind of have to watch it and go with it, and then you'll figure it out. It was that one where he was singing about being scared? It was one of the musical numbers that he did. But anyway, also some shows that debuted this week were It's Like I don't remember that at all. The Norm Show. You do?
Yeah, I used to watch it with Jen at the record store all the time. It was with Jennifer Grey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The Norm Show.
So.
Norm Macdonald Show, which was just as good as you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Tenacious D and Futurama.
Wow, that's a fun lineup.
Three of those are good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Wait, what's the one you're saying is not good?
It's Like
It was
It was
okay.
your standard. It was your standard sitcom fare. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't Suddenly Susan.
Oh well, what is?
And Jennifer Grey, they did a pretty good job of lampooning her and the fact that she, had a nose job and nobody recognized her because she played
Suddenly
herself on it.
Susan, the gods and generals of the sitcom world.
Went on way too long. You needed intermission just to get through it.
I mean, I can't argue.
All right, and moving on to sports.
Whoa.
Held March 28th, WrestleMania 15 was the 15th annual WrestleMania professional wrestling pay-per-view event.
Huh.
I think I could have tightened that sentence up a little bit.
All right, Archie Bell.
The main, I get what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
The main event saw the challenger Stone Cold Steve Austin face The Rock in a no disqualification match for the WWE Championship. The penultimate match saw The Undertaker wrestle Big Boss Man in a Hell in a Cell match. This event marked the final WWE appearance for Gorilla Monsoon, who died in October of that year.
Okay.
I had to sneak death in there somewhere.
I am just glad to hear penultimate used correctly.
I did put that little pause in there for you. That was a little wink and a nod towards you.
Yeah.
It's the one before the last.
Yeah,
so,
I said it wrong one week, and I got roasted. So I figured I'd go ahead and throw it in there.
I'm pretty sure I've roasted everyone else on the show for using it wrong once, and I get irrationally angry about it.
Patrick, explain to me, what does the no disqualification? I know what that means as far as the words are concerned, but in this case, what does that mean in terms of wrestling?
Well, you know that whole trope in wrestling of how the foreign object that he's got hidden in his trunk, in the trunk of his pants,
yeah,
and he pulls it out and hits him in the head and knocks him out. Well,
right.
in this match, there's no reason to hide that foreign object. It's just legal. You could do if you pull a chair out and you hit somebody in the head with it, that's just legal. You can just do it.
Yeah, Katie was watching
it's basically
a match.
like they wrestle until until somebody quits or you pin them. That's it. Doesn't matter what you do to them.
I say Katie was watching a no disqualification match from one of the different leagues. And I came in there, I'm like, is that guy got a chainsaw? I was like,
I want to watch that.
What is happening? Why does he have a chainsaw? She's like, it's a no disqualification. I'm like, but no disqualification, does that mean it doesn't mean not going to jail?
Just dismemberment is on the table now?
Yeah, but he's like chasing him in circles around the ring with a chainsaw and all that. But
because all that footage you see of them setting things on fire and hitting each other with a bat and all that kind of stuff, those are all no disqualification matches.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I once played no disqualification croquet with Matthew.
Yes, you did.
He still walks funny.
And I still remember that. You look at Joel turning to my mom and go, just letting you know, Josh is chasing your son around the backyard with a croquet mallet. And she just went, he's tough.
And then suddenly, Randy Orton comes out of nowhere and RKO's Josh into the grass.
I
True
didn't know
story.
Randy Orton lived in this neighborhood.
He doesn't. He just stopped by.
He just heard the words "no disqualification," just showed up.
I'm down.
And
I
then
don't know how Randy
finally,
Orton talks.
the 1999 NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship game was played on March 29th between Duke and Connecticut. UConn won 77-74 in their first ever final appearance. That's going to do it.
Yeah.
Play us off, keyboard, Joel.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Getting wetter every time.
Yeah, every time
Right?
it's getting... Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking that. I'm like, every time it's getting more wetty.
You
Wetty?
like it wet.
It's getting more wetty.
More wetty?
I said
Wetty.
that. I don't know why.
Weddy fop. Wait.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So, years 1999, all of us had seen the trailers, all of us had seen the previews, and the chatter was about on the then fledgling trying to get spoilers out into the world internet. And The Matrix came out. If you are not aware of this movie, go see it, and I'm a little curious how, but summary on this one is when a beautiful stranger leads computer hacker Neo to a forbidding underworld, he discovers a shocking truth. The life he knows is the elaborate deception of an evil cyber intelligence.
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, so this is when I first heard about this one, it was like, okay, so you've got Ted Theodore Logan, the purple cowboy from the Pee Wee Herman show.
Cowboy Carl.
Cowboy Carl.
Cowboy
and
Curtis.
Cowboy
Curtis.
Curtis. Yes,
Curtis.
Cowboy Curtis. And this in a sci-fi dark future adventure. It was kind of like, okay, that's curious. Let's see where this goes type of thing. But this was directed by the Wachowskis, written by the Wachowskis, starring Keanu Reeves as Neo, Lawrence Fishburne, the purple cowboy, as Morpheus. Carrie, that was the thing, is like, because the Pee Wee Herman show was like just had finished a year before, hadn't it?
That I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was, but it was one of those stupid shows that we watched. Geez. Carrie Ann Moss, Memento, something else that she was in. Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith.
Who's that guy?
I know, right? Gloria Foster as the Oracle. Joey Pantel. I always call him Joey Pants.
Joey Pants.
That was the other
Joey
thing.
Pants.
That was the other name that was in there. So you got the purple cowboy, you've got Bill from Bill and Ted, and then you've got the younger brother from Goonies, the younger Fratelli brother from Goonies, all in this sci-fi adventure type thing. It was kind of like weird. Marcus Chong as Tank, Julian Arahanga as Apoc, Matt Doran as Mouse, Belinda McClory as Switch, and Anthony Ray Parker Jr. as Dozer. No, that's not. He is not a junior. That would be sad if it was.
Okay, I didn't want to roll over you while you were rolling on the cast. Pee-wee's Playhouse ended in 1990.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, it was 1986 to 1990. It was a shorter run than I thought.
Man, I must have been catching it on reruns or something, because I remember watching it in the middle of the day type of thing.
It was a cult show that continued on. Like, official reruns stopped in 91, but like it popped up again in syndication.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's another one. I think it's another one like the Mr. Bean show. It's like you think there's all these different shows because you think about like the one where they had the Marine band or the Marine choir singing and all that other stuff. And then you realize there's only those few shows. Like I think there's only like 12 actual episodes or even less of Mr. Bean. But everyone thinks that there's so many more of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Rob Zombie used to work for Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Who did?
Rob Zombie.
Oh,
He was a production assistant on Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh
He also
my
worked
God.
for an octogenarian porn magazine, but 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
there you go.
This has been your Rob Zombie Facts.
Thank you for
Unsubscribe.
subscribing to Rob Zombie Facts.
So some trivia on this one. To prepare for the scene where Neo wakes up in the pod, Keanu Reeves lost 15 pounds and shaved his whole body to give Neo an emaciated look. And also slept in jelly just to get used to it.
Mm.
Yeah. After the lobby shootout, that's probably the best scene in the whole movie. The camera pans back, showing the aftermath of the gunfight. A moment passes, and a chunk of one of the pillars falls off. This was not planned. This just happened, and they were like, that's perfect, keep it.
Yeah, that's a perfect little happy accident.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All the scenes that take place within the Matrix have green tint, as if you were watching them through a computer monitor. For the young guns who listen to the show, back when we had computer monitors that only showed green. That's why that's green. No, we didn't have these funky colors. We just had CRTs that were green. Scenes in the real world have a blue tint. Blue was also used at a minimum within the Matrix, since the directors thought blue was more of a real-world color, despite, ironically, blue being often the least occurring color in nature, I guess unless you would look up. The fight scene between Morpheus and Neo, which is neither in the real world nor in the Matrix, is tinted yellow. So that's kind of cool. The studio insisted on a great deal of explanatory dialogue, as they described the screenplay as the script that nobody understands.
And that sucks, because I know that they insisted on what you've heard repeated over and over on the internet, how, like, talking about turning humans into batteries, it was originally supposed to be turning humans into processors, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But people were like, well, no one knows what a processor is. No, you don't know what a processor is, and you are allowed to make decisions.
Yeah.
Good job, Copper Top.
This also won all 4 of the categories it was nominated for that year at the Academy Awards. This is the largest clean sweep of nominated categories for a film that was not nominated for Best Picture. So it won Best Film Editing, Best Sound, Best Effects, Sound Effects Editing, and Best Effects Visual Effects.
Okay, yeah. Because I was like, that's 6 categories as I was reading it.
Yeah, there's some weird commas there.
Yeah.
I should have put a colon in there.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like a rule of thumb. Always put a colon in. The filming of the helicopter scene nearly caused the film to be shut down. They flew the helicopter through restricted Sydney airspace. Laws in New South Wales, Australia were subsequently changed to allow filming to proceed. Can we fly there? Yeah, we'll ask forgiveness. Also, here I talk about somebody sitting there with a checklist while watching the movie. In the first 45 minutes of the film, Neo has 80 lines. 44 of these lines are questions, averaging roughly 1 question per minute.
Really?
As far as IMDb is concerned.
That's interesting.
Did you fact check that, Mike?
No, I did not.
If you're talking about a bunch of explanatory dialogue, though, it kind of makes sense, because Neo doesn't know shit, and the people that could tell you what's going on would have to answer someone.
Right.
True story. That makes sense. Whoa.
So I recall seeing this at the Lake Theater.
I remember seeing this movie, and I remember when I walked out of the theater, I know this is going to sound stupid, but I remember walking out of the theater and, like, the whole world looked a little different to me. Like, you felt like maybe, you could run and jump over a car or some crazy shit. It was kind of a big, like, game changer in terms of filmmaking.
Those of you fans, if you want to check our injuries show, that's how Joel broke his collarbone. Coming out of the Matrix and immediately trying to jump over a car.
It's not true, but it could
I'm
be.
the chosen one.
I was driving the car.
Yeah, he was trying to run him over.
Yeah, accurate.
So, but no, I'm the same with you, Joel. It's like after I saw this one, I was I don't say it altered my view, but I think it altered my thinking of what movies could do. Like the whole bullet time thing, and I remember watching all the documentaries, and I bought like the super duper big box set that has like the actual film cut of the film inside a mounting thing, whatever, with the soundtrack and all things. That was the other thing. The soundtrack in this movie was amazingly good. Fit really well.
I'm pretty sure I saw this in the theater, but my more crystalline memory is that it was one of the first 2 DVDs I ever saw, and we're not going to talk about the other one. It wasn't porn. It was just Big Mama's house, and I don't want to talk about it.
What about you, Pat?
Yeah, I saw this in the theater during the first run.
Yeah.
I think
a few different times, yeah, here and there. This is, I think, the 4th time I've seen it.
Okay.
But
I was going to say, I think all of us have.
Yeah, I've never seen either of the sequels, but I enjoyed this movie, so I saw it. This was the last Keanu Reeves movie I saw before I began my band.
Abstinence?
Yeah.
Was it the one that caused it?
No.
Oh.
I watched it in spite of this one.
Okay.
In spite of
Wait,
him.
so you did not see Reloaded or
He just said
Revolution?
he hasn't seen the
Revolutions or
sequels.
Resurrection or what? Yeah. No, I did not see. I did not see.
I hope he
2
saw
or 3.
Resurrection, because that's what we're talking about the second half.
That's that's the 4th one then. Yeah.
He's going to watch it on the break.
Okay,
So
so the seal is broken, so you can watch John Wick now.
Yeah.
I already watched John Wick. We went over this.
Did
what?
we?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
remember
knew
this.
that you talked about you were going to see it. I didn't know that you actually had gone through with it.
Yeah.
I did.
And his assessment was, ready, I talked to him about this, was meh.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, it was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. Like, Which means, I mean, I didn't hate it. I mean, but it was just exact. Yeah, it was a, I mean, I was very shocked that the dog thing happened in like the first couple minutes, and it was that I was like, okay, and then he went on a rampage, and then it was over. I'm like, yeah, okay, that was what I thought. Yep.
Okay, we must have talked about this like right after we did Bill and Ted.
Or something. I do not remember this
I
at all.
remember us talking about you broke the seal on Bill and Ted now, because I was like, I'm having a deja vu black cat walking through the room moment when I'm saying you broke the seal and can now watch John Wick.
Yeah,
That was
done
definitely
that
Bill
already.
and Ted.
Yeah, it was right after Bill and Ted, like literally within the week.
Something else about this this movie?
Yes.
All the intersections and streets that they talk about are actually intersections and streets in Chicago.
But they don't actually cross, correct?
I know the first one is Lake and Well. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Yeah, but
that's pretty.
But
cool.
they're all Chicago streets. Yeah.
Well, the Wachowskis are Chicagoans, I believe, aren't they?
Yeah, because I recognize the street names, but I didn't even think about it. But yeah, that's cool that they picked the streets that don't cross. That's a cool little touch.
So, but yeah, no, I mean this was a game. I was saying game changer, but it's another one of those situations where like Star Wars, where suddenly everybody in the movie industry realized they had a hell of a lot of catching up to do because somebody went for a sprint on effects and that sort of thing. Like the whole bullet time thing is it got overplayed so many times over the next 10 years.
But I think it held up better than something like immediately people criticize Avatar, even though they're like, it's gorgeous. It's advancing filmmaking in a visual way. And while the Matrix story wasn't necessarily like mind-blowing, groundbreaking, the best part, it was good. It was serviceable. Mm-hmm. And it had these amazing effects. So I think that's one of the reasons why, even at the time, like everyone loved the Matrix. And even the people who liked the Avatar were like, yeah, I like the Avatar, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like is Avatar still the number one grossing movie of all time? But nobody can tell you who the main characters are?
I haven't even seen it.
Dethroned by Endgame.
Oh, okay. And Patrick, to answer your question, Lake and Wells actually does cross.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. It's right about where the river splits.
I mean, how do you even talk about the Matrix without just saying, like, falling into the, oh, wow, this scene was so cool? Or, like, maybe we have to break down, like, what was your favorite scene and what if anything, was something that didn't work for you? Because just to not fall into that, like, oh, my God, this moment was so great.
Well, not even, I'm sorry, Josh, or whoever's going to talk. I was going to say,
that was me.
The thing that got to me was that I really was paying attention with on this last viewing was motivations of characters. Like why is everybody doing what they're doing? It's Neo is the main character, but he's not. He's just like the cart that everybody else is riding in, type of thing. Because you've got Cypher, who's the big turncoat on this. Like motivation for him, he just is sick and tired of being in the real world. He just wants to go back where he's warm.
Right.
The whole reasoning behind him. You've got Morpheus, who's the street preacher type character that's showing everyone the way, and his character morphs as you go into the other two movies. But I was just paying attention, like Agent Smith is breaking free from his constraints, and it's kind of like the yin and yang to Neo, who's also breaking free from his constraints, which they talk about more later on in the other movies.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically opposites. They're taking the same path, but two different reasons and directions. I mean, it's just another Christ story, like Star Wars and like so many other films. It's that basic template that they use to tell the same story of, a character who pays the ultimate sacrifice to save everybody. But I just remember that this film kind of changed the landscape of science fiction and movie making, and I love all three of these films, despite kind of the hate that the latter two of them get. I think not unnecessarily in some cases, but these are some of my favorite science fiction films. And as I was rewatching them with Laura, I think I surprised her at how much I was just quoting everything in the movie. I'd seen it so many times. Yeah, it's a thing.
It's interesting just to bounce off of both of your points. Mike left out one character in terms of motivation, and I think it's telling because it factors into the other thing I was talking about things that didn't work for me. And it's something that is very, very 90s and looks a little cringy now, is they kind of did Trinity dirty. Like, she is a total badass until she needs to not be to advance Neo's story. And that's rough. Like, and this was pretty common in the late 90s and even 2000s, where you'd have this, they pay lip service to having a strong female character to then basically make her a damsel in distress as soon as the main dude's story requires it.
But on the flip side of that, the primary characters in this story are not all white dudes.
Sure. Yeah. It is something that is very, very specific to the way movies were trying to figure out roles for women at the time. That, like, at the time it was acceptable, and it's only cringe now because we know better.
But I mean, one problem I will give you, I want to give you this problem to try to solve then. If you're the writer, how do you give motivation to a character whose only motivation is Trinity? Like, if Trinity is going to be her own independent thing who's capable of taking care of herself and he never has to save her, how do you give him any motivation at all? Well, and I'm just asking that genuinely, like, if you were the writer, how would you do that? Yeah.
I get that. I mean, probably the best answer is to give her her own motivation, so she isn't just a convenient plot device. She's a character and a person. It's not that you can never have someone...
He follows her motivation to do something then?
Or, like, his motivation is independent of hers. Like, the problem isn't necessarily that, hey, you've got this person you care about and it forms a part of your character arc. That's not what's cringe. It's you're presented as the ultimate badass in the first scene until it's required that you are not. So someone else can shine.
I think the solution as the writer is, well, why don't you just give Neo another motivation?
That could be.
Like, you don't have to just be like, oh, she's in trouble, I gotta go, save my love. Like, how about he, maybe he just decides to save the world because that's not the dick move.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is this is definitely, I'm not the first person to come up with this trope in sci-fi and why it looks a little weird now, even though I generally have good feelings about this movie. But, like, I noticed that now. It's just like, yeah, that's definitely something that is super late 90s, early 2000s, when they were still kind of figuring it out.
I mean, like second to Morpheus, she's the number one ass kicker in the universe until he comes along, and then suddenly she's like, help me.
Yeah. And I don't think it's like getting overly political to say that's kind of shitty.
I definitely get it. Yeah.
Wow, I'm not sure where to go with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna move on to my answer. My favorite scene was probably, if I had to pick, I'd say probably the introduction of Morpheus and the whole, like, red pill, blue pill, and the mirror kind of like swallowing his whole body. That whole, that was just a great scene, thematically and cinematically. I just really, really like that scene.
Patrick broke 3 mirrors afterwards trying to get into the Matrix.
Trying to find the guy who's coding all my shit.
Yeah. I'm going to come to you, man. I'm going to kick your ass.
I swear if I find you.
Favorite scene? On the way back from seeing the Oracle, when they're in the apartment and Neo has a deja vu moment and they're escaping through the walls.
Then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. That's the thing. And that's the one point in the movie where I went, I don't care if he's in the Matrix or not. If somebody throws you on the ground so hard that your forehead hits a toilet bowl and shatters a toilet bowl, you're dead. That he should have done. And another person they did dirty was Mouse.
Yes. Fair. That poor kid got the short end of the stick, man.
Yeah. I mean, he had this whole, I was kind of excited. The first time I saw it was like, I was waiting for this kind of skeezy, like, hey, I'm the one who made the girl in the red dress type of thing. I was kind of wanting to see like a pseudo redemption arc for him. Like, he's not as skeevy as you think. He's going to come and be like maybe a little bit of the last second help type of thing. Nope, gunned down through a door. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, he was one of those characters, like, when he was, the first time I saw this movie, the first time he's introduced, like, here's everybody. Oh, and by the way, this guy over here by himself is another character. I'm like, well, that guy's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it makes you kind of wonder if the kid that I do not know his name from Revolutions that's helping Mifune, his reloading his guns, that kid, if that kind of was their way of giving you a Mouse character to attach yourself to that had redemption, whose storyline begins in the Animatrix and then carries through, and he ends up being, one of the reasons that they win the battle of the bay. I don't know what you want to call it. If you guys know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The kid that's like, you saved my life. He's like, I didn't do anything. He's like, yeah, you did. Blah, blah, blah.
Now, some of the other effects that this movie had on culture as a whole, everybody wanted those cool phones, because this is like the advent of people actually carrying cell phones around. I remember that Nokia, I looked it up, Nokia 8110 initially launched in 1996, but you finally saw it in the movies, but where it had that snap down, press the button on the side and it snaps down to go to the numbers and all that, the phone that they used. You know how much that thing cost?
At the time?
At the time.
How much?
$1,000 phone.
I'm going to guess $1,000.
You are right.
Well, 1,001.
Wrong.
Oh.
$1. Wait.
Josh wins.
Damn it.
But they also have, they've got a banana phone like that also that Nokia made.
Ring.
Yeah.
Ring.
What is it called? It's the new 8110
banana phone.
And it comes in yellow and black, but it has that snap down keypad. It's not a smartphone, it's a dumb phone.
I actually wonder if this movie inadvertently caused me to get my first cell phone, because I can't remember what my first one was, but I know my second was the Razor, which came out in 2003. So it's not out of the question that I got my first one in 2001.
Can we also talk about the amazing stunt work that Yuen Wu-ping had kind of choreographed, and also the fact that all of these people learned how to fight for the movie, so that their face was the one that was actually doing the fighting, and not the stunt work necessarily, but the actual fighting. And I mean, Keanu went so far as to permanently injure himself making these movies.
What did he do?
I mean, that's impressive.
You can't just drop something like that and not follow it up, dude.
How did he injure himself?
I mean, yeah, he lost an eye.
He's got 2 inches shorter. That's how
he lost his right leg.
He is. Well, he had like a spinal cord injury that caused some paralysis, which has since caused him to have a limp. So if you watch him in movies now, he kind of walks kind of with a weird gait, like not quite like he's like, John Wayne kind of thing.
Huh.
But he's got
a
a
little hitch in his get along now.
Yeah, a slight limp that is permanent because he injured himself doing, because they were doing all the wire work and the kung fu and whatever else that they had to learn, the gun work and everything for these movies, which incidentally, if you've not seen the video on Facebook, and I'm sure it's on YouTube, of Keanu with the gun training for fucking John Wick, dude, is breathtaking.
Nice.
I had to throw that in there somewhere, but it's true.
Yeah, the dude takes it all actually very seriously. He's an actual Buddhist, and he knows the weapons training, and he knows real kung fu. He's got certification in kung fu.
Yeah,
I think he figures if I'm going to do this for the movie, I might as well do it right.
Right, and then you've got people like Hugo Weaving that are like, kung fu. I have to learn kung fu. What? And then here he is, kicking everybody's ass too. Oh.
Well, Hugo Weaving in this was 100% part of the reason why I enjoyed it. He makes an amazing villain.
Agreed.
The cadence and the Mr. Anderson and just the whole presence of Smith in this is menacing. And
he's so cold.
Yeah, he's cold, and he's got this whole egotistic "I'm better than you." That whole thing going on. Now, Pat, you haven't watched the sequels. Joel, I know you watch them. Josh, it's been a while, but the guy who plays I forget his code name, but the guy who gets possessed by Agent Smith in the real world pulls it off amazingly well.
Doing basically like an impression of Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, he does a Hugo Weaving impersonation in the real world when he's talking to Neo, and he gets it 100%. I mean, it's a different voice, it's a different body, but he's in expressing who he is to Neo when they're fighting inside the Nebuchadnezzar was like just this perfect imitation of Hugo Weaving as Smith.
Yeah.
And that's like, there you go. You have just told you my number one thing that I enjoyed of the sequels.
I don't know, the mechs and the whole battle in the bay with all the squiddies.
The mechs were cool. Yeah.
I like the mechs. I like the squiddies. I don't love that they can build mechs but can't make new clothes.
They're spending all the money on the mechs.
It's fucking weird that they're all in rags and can make Max, it stuck out to me at the time and it bothered me. I thought the rave orgy scene was maybe just a little too long. It was not inappropriate. It was just too long.
It was way too long. I mean, they were trying to kind of make it a lovemaking scene with Neo and Trinity and also the rave scene, but they could have edited that differently and made it a lot shorter and just as effective.
Yeah.
Well, that's also somebody that's been to an orgy, because orgies usually do go on too long.
Okay. And also imagine the smell. But Josh, with the clothes thing, I agree with you. It's like after the second movie, somebody get Neo a new sweater.
Yeah. And like there were a lot of good ideas. I like the architect. I like the idea of the Merovingian, the twins, all of these other characters that they're bringing up. And then they make some baffling choices, like Neo randomly being able to affect the real world with his powers. And no, we're not going to explain it because fuck you.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like that whole point was that once he entered Agent Smith, they basically their DNA meshed, and Neo came out of it with some of his abilities, and he came out of it with some of Neo's abilities, and therefore he was able to go into the real world, and Neo was able to affect the robots in the real world because they had basically became
a bridge for each other.
Yeah, they were then both carrying parts of each other permanently because of that connection.
Yeah, but like it didn't seem like he was just affecting the robots in the real world. It appeared that he was affecting reality. And I was like, I'm okay with this so long as we get an acceptable explanation in the third one. And we didn't. And that alone was probably enough to ruin the second two movies for me.
Yeah, there were some. I think the second two movies were a case of Warner Brothers going back to the Wachowskis and going, "That was amazing. You made us all the money. What's next?" And they went, "Right, we got something up. We got something right that we're doing it right now. We've got an idea that we're
frantic scribbling."
Yes, and then the end of the end of the second one, where you, Pat, I'm not worried about spoiling anything from you,
Nope.
but
No,
it's like the guy who gets Agent Smith into the real world and Neo are in the med lab together next to each other, and they're both in a coma, and then it goes, it shows both their faces, dun dun dun, to be concluded, and that's how it ended.
But I mean, they were shooting them simultaneously, and they had announced that it'd be 6 months between.
Yeah, but I remember being
Reloaded
in the
and
theater
Revolutions.
and like that popped up, and there's one guy in the back of the theater goes, "What the fuck?" It was just like
She was in the theater with background Phil.
Yeah, background Phil. Him and I have gone back for a long time, man.
Oh, they go way background.
But yeah, and the other thing I remember is I hate myself for laughing at that.
That's right.
But the other thing I remember from the sequels is we went to see, let's see, the second one. I don't even know the release date, but either the second or the third one we saw while Susie was still pregnant with Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
And we was like, yeah, we're gonna go see. It was late in the term. We got maybe about a month and a half, 2 months left, and before she's popping out and all that. Okay, we'll go see the Matrix movie. It should be fine. We go in there, and the movie it starts up and it goes that whoom. And I remember Suzanne taking her coat and covering up the belly. It's just like, but
Why?
Why? Because it was so big and loud.
She was afraid it was going to.
I don't know. I mean, it was just, because I'll tell you this, Sophie was kicking through the whole thing. So
See, it changed her too.
Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. A little bit of Agent Smith and my daughter.
Whoa.
Ew. Stop. Rewind.
Yeah. Phrasing.
Note to self. Rewind. Check that. Cancel that.
All right. So we go to the break now, I think.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's a good time.
Before Patrick
Mr. Anderson.
We want no elaboration from Patrick. We will go directly to break.
Right, we're done. We'll be back in a little bit and talk about.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
Wow.
All right, back for Matrix 2021.
Resurrections.
Yeah, reproductions.
No, stop it.
So it's 2021. The Wachowskis have made, or one Wachowski has made The Matrix reboot.
Resurrections.
Resurrections. Not a reboot.
Continuation.
A
That's
forquel.
a sequel, yeah.
Yeah. So, along with the Wachowski, this is also got David Mitchell.
Yeah, this is Lana without Lily.
Yes.
Correct.
There's only one involved in this one. And David Mitchell, who helped on the writing, who has done Cloud Atlas, writing in Cloud Atlas and Sense 8. And then Alexander Hamon, who has done this, Sense 8, and something called Love Island.
So,
Okay, I honestly didn't know Cloud Atlas and Sense 8 had anyone on the writing staff aside from the Wachowskis. So that's interesting that these are collaborators of other post-Matrix things.
Mm-hmm. So we've got this one. Again, we got Keanu Reeves coming back as Neo and Thomas Anderson. Carrie-Anne Moss as Trinity/Tiffany. Yaha Abdul Mateen II as Morpheus and Agent Smith. Jonathan Groff as Smith, Jessica Henwick as Bugs.
Hang on, before we blast past Jonathan Groff, because Sarah called this out when I missed it. Jonathan Groff, I was like, why do I recognize this guy? If you're a Hamilton fan, he's King George.
Good
he's
catch.
also the voice of Kristoff in Frozen.
Yeah,
Let
so
it go.
musicals are his thing, but like without the white powdered wig and crown, I didn't recognize him. I'm like, why do I know this dude?
All right. I do
Yada
not know
da da yada da 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 yada.
Jesus. All right. Also, Jessica Henwick as Bugs. Neil
Yeah,
Patrick
and
Harris
she's-
as.
Hang on, another one I want to talk about.
All right.
Jessica Henwick, she was MCU. We're talking Kathleen Wing and Nymeria Sand from Game of Thrones.
The best part of Iron Fist.
Yeah, Colleen Wing. Honestly, I want to see more of her. And now that we're starting to see some of those Netflix shows leak into the MCU, I have a little bit of hope we might.
Yep, there's some rumors.
Yeah. I have not seen anything but the first season of Game of Thrones, so. All right. So, Neil Patrick Harris. Pause for Josh.
I think he's
He's great. He's
As the
NPH.
analyst.
For those of you that haven't heard of him,
Yes. Do you want to go on with that? Tell us about
No.
his career, Patrick.
Doogie Howser.
There you go.
How he
Thank you.
started.
How I Met Your Mother.
Yep.
Harold and Kumar.
Beloved character. Well, not really a character actor. He's a lead actor. Charismatic.
Starship Troopers.
Triple threat. Sing, dance, act, do it all, man. And he's pretty hard to find people that don't like him.
Correct.
Okay. Also, Jada Pinkett Smith as Niobe, again, coming back for that role. Priyanka Chopra Jonas as Sati, which I thought was a great callback to the little girl that was in the crossover train station.
Different actress, but it was cool.
No, I know
Right.
the character. That's bringing the character back.
And it's weird to see the Jonas stapled onto Priyanka Chopra's name. Like, I know she married a Jonas brother, but
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, I would, at least I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Maybe she just
Okay.
randomly married. No, Nick Jonas. Yeah, I was
Nick
right.
Jonas? Okay, cool. We got Christina Ricci from out of nowhere as Gwendevere.
We had to go back and wait, which one was she? And I figured it out eventually.
Yeah, she was really, I don't say abrupt, but
Yeah, a blink and you miss it part where at the time I was like, I recognize her. Why can't I figure out who that is? We got
Well, plus the hair and, she didn't look like herself.
yeah, and she wasn't presenting as Christina Ricci roles that we remember her in as the office, business lady type thing. Also, Lambert Wilson coming back as old man from Scene 23.
The Merovingian.
Yeah, he when he popped up on the screen in those rags and everything, he literally reminded me like either the old men at the bridge from Holy Grail.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So some trivia on this one. Trinity's alter ego Tiffany is now married to Chad, who is played by Chad Stahelski, who directed the John Wick series with Keanu Reeves. He is in fact the stunt double for Keanu Reeves in the original Matrix trilogy, hence both played Neo. And in a way, Trinity is married to Neo.
That's
I knew I recognized him from somewhere, but I did not catch that because I'd seen him in some making of stuff for John Wick, but I totally missed that. I was like, that guy looks familiar, but that's cool.
Yeah. So Lawrence Fishburne told Collider Movie News that he was not in this Matrix movie, and when questioned, he replied that someone would have to ask Lana Wachowski because he doesn't have an answer for it.
Huh.
So I don't know why they didn't bring. I mean, they have new Morpheus or Morpheus Smith combo going. So maybe they just wrote him out. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there was an answer when they announced he wasn't going to be in it, because that version of Morpheus died in The Matrix Online, and it was one of those, like, I don't think they necessarily were worried about how canon it was, but they could sidestep it by doing this weird Morpheus Smith hybrid and have it. If you want to believe that MMO was canon, okay, you still can.
Well, they said the video game and the MMO or everything that happened in both of those was canon, because I think the video game was a bridge between the first one and the second one, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, there were a couple games. Path of Neo was explicitly non-canon. It was a retelling with a happy ending. But I think you're right. They always intended the MMO to be canon, and Morpheus canonically dies in the MMO.
All right. Well, there you go. I guess Lawrence Fishburne never played the MMO. So the first teaser was revealed via whatisthematrix.com, which was also how we found out about it back in 1999. Also included a shot of Neo's pill bottle prescribed to his Matrix alter ego, Thomas Anderson. The medication is called ontolofloxacin, which is a tweak on the series' exploration of ontology, i.e. the nature of being. So there you go.
Human beings.
Exactly. Filming in San Francisco also caused irritation among residents and city workers after damage was inflicted to buildings and streetlights. As is the case with other productions like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and Venom Let There Be Carnage, the producers had to pay $420,000 to San Francisco Police Department so they could film in the city.
Ouch.
So, yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, how do you damage buildings while you're filming?
And all that money went back in the community.
Right. It all went to fixing the street lamps that they broke.
That's why there's no potholes in the whole city now.
No. On her very first day of the shoot in Berlin, Priyanka Chopra Jonas had to recite all the lines of dialogue that she had in the film in front of the entire cast in order to take advantage of an authentic sunset that Lana Wachowski insisted on capturing for coverage. According to Priyanka, the session lasted about 45 minutes, after which time she was so exhausted from the stress on her very first Matrix installment.
Welcome to the series.
Yeah. We got to catch this sunset.
It's interesting because the same reason why Lana made this is the same reason why Lily didn't. Their father died.
Well, both their parents died.
Yeah,
like within a month of each other, I think.
This was a way of working through the trauma for Lana, and the articles I read on the subject said that coming back to do this sort of work was too painful for Lily.
I wondered about that, so I'm glad you looked into it.
Yeah.
All right, so first viewing for each of us.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And
which I have to just, because I'm afraid I'm going to forget this later. I feel like with the way this ended, just to go from the ending and work our way backwards, maybe, that there is a potential for sequels, another trilogy, but may not be the way they're headed.
Well, I think
they obviously left it wide open.
Well, yeah.
Which, spoilers, incidentally.
Opinions are all over the place on this one, so I'm actually curious where we're all going to come down on it.
But that's putting the cart before the horse. That's
correct.
Yes. So, kind of to pick up from like the end of the third movie. The end of the third movie, Neo is dead. They lead him out on this platform where you could almost put up big signs that say he represents Jesus, pointing at him. Especially for the point at the very end.
Allegory. He just all kinds of arrows.
Message.
Patrick. At the very end of it, the giant like baby face machine.
It does look like a baby.
It does look like a baby. Literally goes, "It is finished." And I was like,
does,
and in the theater, I was like,
the night.
Yeah, I was like, come on. I'm like, but so Neo dies battling Smith.
Trinity's dead,
and yeah, Trinity gets washed. Heyo. And then, so they're both dead. So they get resurrected, brought back to life, and then we go back to square one and get Neo out of the Matrix again.
But there's this whole mind play thing, which I thought was really cool at the beginning, with the idea that maybe all first three movies were just a video game, and now we're in the real world, with hints that that's not quite what's going on. I thought that was really cool.
And I think that's where a lot of people are having difficulty because there's such a. I mean, at one point, there was almost a religious following to these films that people hold these so close to their hearts to kind of basically retcon it almost in a way.
Well, there were books written like the theology of the Matrix, and like people took that and like ran down the hallway with it.
And it's interesting. I think a lot of people, their perspective of whether this was a good movie or a good Matrix movie comes down to how much you accept one scene. And that's when they're talking about what the Matrix is actually about. And the douchiest bro of all the douche bros is like, what the Matrix is really about is bullet time. Now, this is in a lot of ways hey, we're sticking with the philosophy, but if what you were there for was awesome martial arts action, you're going to be disappointed by this film. And like maybe a little bit of finger wagging and scolding people for having that as an important part of the Matrix for them. I don't know. I always preferred the cerebral aspects, so the action scenes that are not mind-blowing didn't ruin the movie for me. But I'm curious how you guys come down on that particular line, because I don't know that it'll inform the rest of your feelings on the movie. But I so far I've seen a big correlation between people that hated that line and ended up hating the movie, or liked that line and were neutral to pleasant on the movie.
I think part of the problem is, in a way, they're kind of lampooning their very own fan base. And that's a dangerous line to walk. You have to be careful if you're going to satire the people that feed you. You have to be, that you have to be very good at it. You can't just be offensive. You can't just thumb your nose at them. It has to be done well. And I at one point I even at one point I was thinking, I was like, they're being kind of dickish to their fan base right now. But I think it was done well enough that it wasn't, because if they'd have continued that whole scene throughout, that whole vibe throughout the whole movie, I could get behind that idea that they're being a little too
snarky.
Yeah, and showing a little bit too much disservice to their fan base. But I think they toed the line overall in the movie.
Like
well
if that
enough.
dude had gotten like killed violently or something like that, and or there had been some sort of like, there's your bullet time now, kid, or whatever happened somehow with that, I think that would have been crossing the line. But you're right, they were very close to, like, because that was one of the things from the original Matrix, is when everybody came out, nobody had seen the bullet time fighting before. Nobody, string fighting was not something that we were familiar with. And one of the things outside of, wow, that story was amazing, a lot of people, majority of people came out and said, man, the fight scenes were incredible, climbing up the walls, jumping all around type of thing. And to kind of make that jab at your fans, that is kind of the dude bro, oh, I love the kung fu. But there's some people that watch The Matrix and that's what they super enjoyed about it.
And whether you like it or not, that is a big part of why you were successful.
Well, on that.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and that led us into things like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Well, I was to continue the real quick. Sorry, Josh, but just to continue real quick, I don't think that I'm going to be saying anything because it's completely gone. So go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, it's not an unfair complaint to say that you didn't find the Neo force pushing everything satisfying when compared to the action scenes in the original trilogy. That's not an unfair criticism. And like even the premature deflection of, hey, this isn't what this one's about. This one is about the philosophical side of the Matrix, and the action scenes are there because they have to be. Like, I get that some people would not like that. And even though I really enjoyed a lot of this movie, like, I get it that if you came in expecting The Matrix again and didn't like the fight scenes, I don't think you're a douche for having that perspective.
Well, part of the fight scene thing is, Keanu is 20 years older now. What he was doing back in 1999, he's really, he can't do all the stuff that he did in 99 in 2021, despite, like the fighting in John Wick and all, I'm sure he's in pretty damn good shape. for what he, for the age that he is, for all the stuff that he does. But at the same time,
a man in his 50s should not be hanging from a wire for 6 hours.
Yeah,
right.
Sure. Well, and there's also the question of how much fight choreography can you do with the restrictions placed on filmmaking with COVID protocols, and how did that potentially affect the most everyone needs to be all up in each other's face moments for long periods of time? Because if you're doing fight choreography, there's no social distancing. So, I mean, it is entirely possible that some of this was just okay, we can't spend 8 weeks with a brilliant fight choreographer to do wire work. That's just not how movies are made right now.
That we have to import from another country.
Right.
On top of that.
Of course.
There were some, with going over my, looking at the notes I wrote down, there's some case what did I write? The company he works for is called Deus Machina. Okay. I was just all I wrote was, ha.
But I mean, that is a legitimate game company name. I could see some.
Yeah, but I mean, it's too. I think it's a little too on the nose.
There's a game called Deus Machina. I mean,
yeah, there is. There's a couple of them. They also little tips of the hand, like when the alarms went off at the beginning when they thought they were getting swatted. There's a real quick when Neo turns and looks over his shoulder that the reflection of his face in his computer screen is of the old man.
Yeah,
yep. Same thing happened with Trinity too at the
where you see the real
coffee
face
shop.
of Tiffany, the blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, definitely they focused on it at the coffee shop, but it was a blink and you miss it type of thing in the office scene. And I don't know about this Morpheus. You take Morpheus and Agent Smith, you mix them together, and you get a 70s swinger.
See, I liked this version of Morpheus, but I was baffled by, if this is the way you're going to bring back Morpheus and Agent Smith, what the fuck is going with the new Agent Smith? He describes his motivation, sort of retconning him being finally permanently written out of the Matrix at the end of the original third one. And then he's like, well, I need you out of here so I can get at the analyst. But then at the end, he goes after the analyst with Neo there. So I don't understand his arc, the rules behind how it's all working. That was one of the things that didn't work for me.
I was confused about with Smith where his allegiance lay at any one given time during the movie. Because one point he's shooting it. Like I said at the very beginning, when the sprinklers are on, he's got a gun straight at Neo's head, but then he's fighting with him against the analyst. There wasn't a lot of explanation on the relationship between Smith and the analyst.
Right. It was my feeling is everything involving New Smith didn't make sense.
Yeah, and he did not have, I don't want to say I want Hugo Weaving back in that role, but if you have a character like Agent Smith, who is known for being the villain, it's like bringing Darth Vader back and putting him in a tutu, kind of. It's like he's not nearly as threatening as he was in the first 3 movies, but then everyone's acting like he's super threatening. I don't think the inclusion of Smith contributed that much.
Yeah, and Weaving was supposed to come back.
Oh, he was?
Yes. There was a scheduling conflict.
Okay.
And there were specific dates that Hugo Weaving wanted in order to participate in the project, and they just could not make the deal happen.
Oh, that's a shame. Because it's like Hugo Weaving, that's like his character.
Mm-hmm.
Niobe's old lady makeup was awful.
Truth.
And she does not know how to act
looked like she was
old.
covered in paper mache.
Yeah, it looked like stage makeup. It looked like, like college stage makeup. And whoever taught her she was acting old as if she had read about how old people walk. I don't think her version of old was very good, especially when they went into the garden scene.
The entire presentation of her as an old person, you said it very well, was very much like college stage theater.
Perhaps Jaden was, her coach. I don't know, maybe. This movie, I saw people posting about it as they were watching it, and I don't think I've seen anybody that was just kind of it was there. Either it seems like everybody either really loved it or really hated it, and it's very divisive, as far as the feelings on it.
Well, there's just some things in this that I just could not get past. Like, okay, so you've got Zion in the original 3. It's this enclave of humans who are not making extra clothes for anybody, but they're building machines. They're all hiding in one spot. The squiddies and the robots know, they know where it is, but they can't get past the big gate, and they need to get the codes to get in there. That all jibed, and then finally the machines, screw it, we're just drilling in there. In this one, they fly through a hologram, and I'm looking at this going, we find new ways to hide from the machines. Are you telling me the machines can't figure out that that's a hologram?
Well, I mean, you do have other machines now on the side of the humans, which I thought was super interesting, and I actually really liked.
That was cool. Like the fact that they made a civil war between the machines.
Although that's a more interesting movie than the one we watched.
Yes, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yes.
Another question I have about Io as a place.
Yes.
Whose job is it to light all those candles? When Niobe was walking with Neo and they went through that cavern that had like 800 lit candles all over the place.
It's Jimmy Candlelighter.
There's got to be somebody doing this. Jimmy the Candlelighter must have a great gig. That's something that takes me out of movies.
He gets a nickel a candle.
It could be one of those things like in a Catholic church where if you were praying for someone who's died or is in trouble or hurt, you light a candle for them. But like they didn't tell us that. They just showed us a bunch of candles.
Right. And then, I mean, I could buy it if it was like a prayer candle thing. I can completely understand that. The only reason it disjoins me from it is like, I'm looking at if it is a prayer candle thing. How the hell did they get all the candles lit at the back? Who sets up prayer candles that way? You can't, I mean, it's like they just
maybe
them
they're
in
all
there.
like LED ones or something.
I don't know. But it's stuff like that, and not even just this movie, but like things like that'll pull me out of a movie. Just that kind of like why that makes absolutely no sense. Why would you have a 20-foot long cavern that's only lit by 8,000 candles?
Stuff that is set up just to look like a cool shot takes you right out of a movie.
Yeah. And there were a lot of really interesting ideas and cool things. I loved the portals that put you onto a train. I thought the idea that in the new Matrix, not everyone who's a person is actually a person. Some of them are bots and don't even know they're bots.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool idea. I liked that. Like when they activated them all and turned them into bombs, that was
and the horror of the actual human trapped in the Matrix who is married to a bot and only finds out when he gets activated to jump out of the window. Yeah, that was fucked.
And you just know that's playing out in almost every single one of those situations when everybody is hitting the floor.
Well, speaking of fuck, that whole scene at the end where they're all jumping out of the windows as bombs.
Yeah,
all of them.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned one in particular. I didn't realize you were talking about the whole sequence. Sorry, but
he was saying like if any of those others weren't families of entirely programs, there's scenes of that horror going all the time when they're dropping like raindrops at the end.
Yeah, like suddenly the guy sitting at the board meeting stands up and leaps through the window for no reason. I mean, there's the humans in that meeting are gonna be like, "What the?"
Which kind of reminded me of that scene in The Happening, but with a bit more purpose.
I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Shyamalama Ding Dong. They basically retold the first film in a way, but
not in a way.
It's, I mean, essentially.
Yeah, foolish me at one point. Josh's wife Sarah asked me what version I was watching because I told her I was watching The Matrix, and she's like, "What version?" And I took a screen cap, and it was the scene with his mouth getting sealed up, and she's like, "Yeah, that doesn't help." I hadn't watched the second one yet, and then I was watching it. I'm like, "Oh, now that makes more sense."
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that because with the new story they're telling, you have to have this kind of origin story happen to where I feel like, in theory, they really could make this a second trilogy and potentially have a different payoff or take it a different route. And it still be satisfying and still maintain, the first trilogy is its own thing and this is its own thing, but yet they do tie together. I don't know, with this as split as people seem to be on this, I don't know that they're going to take that route.
Well, I think the whole love is the battery that powers the Matrix kind of made me roll my eyes.
I don't know that it was just love. I think part of this is they're trying to correct some of what I was talking about in the first half with regards to Trinity only being kind of a plot device for Neo after the first scene, where she's kicking everyone's ass. And maybe they overcorrected with he can't fly, but she can.
That was confusing because there was no lead up to that.
Right. And I got what they were doing, and I was okay with it. I thought it was interesting. It's like their connection, it was never just him. It was the two of them together, but if the machines ever let them come together, they just fucking wreck everything. So they have to like let them almost like be in proximity to one another. And that tension of they're never getting together, but they're always in the orbit of each other's lives was enough to harness their power as the one together for the analyst's new version of the Matrix. I don't know that it makes internal sense, but I think that's what they were going for.
You know, it was funny when that scene where they jumped off the building and Trinity started flying. The only thing, well, not the only thing, but the first thing that popped in my head was, "Of course you don't have wings. You're a boy." So, I mean, it. You know, I don't know what else? Let's see. Niobe is a hypocrite.
Yeah.
How the hell does anything get done in IO if all these, everybody's becoming the rebel and going off to do their thing to save everybody? And it's like, I don't know. I think Niobe as a character kind of pissed me off because it's like she's yelling at the new captain for going off and doing the exact same thing that she did before. And they kind of called her out on it a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe it's that and the old acting too that just made the whole Niobe character aggravating.
I think it's also telling that we've talked about it this long, and I still can't necessarily tell how we all feel about this.
Yeah, true.
I feel like there's still some unpacking to do with this. I appreciate that they took something and took it in another direction and made it into something new while still maintaining the original aspects that made it what it was. But yeah, I still haven't quite figured out exactly. I think I need to watch it at least another 1-2 times before I can really 100% say how I feel about it.
You know what I do know is that Fetus Fields is the band name I'm calling for my new alt punk band.
See,
you have to cross the Fetus Fields.
I know how I feel about this, but I kind of want to slow roll it until we get to the thumbs up, thumbs down, because I'm frequently the first one to spoiler alert, I hated it, or spoiler alert, I love it.
Yeah.
And the fact that it is still kind of nebulous, it might make for an interesting thumbs up, thumbs down. So I think I'm going to steer clear. Huh. And Joel, you better figure it out because we're going to be asking the question.
Yeah, it's coming up quick, dude.
I mean, I have an answer for it, but I mean, in terms of long term, as I said before, the first 3 films are near and dear to my heart. Like, I love that trilogy. It's up there for me as far as science fiction, action, whatever. It speaks to me. So I was very happy to see that we were coming back to that world, but very concerned as far as how we were going to get there. And it was interesting to see how they did that. And so, I'm kind of glad to get some other opinions on it because so far it's either I hate it, it's stupid, or I love it, that was cool. It's nice to hear some actual conversation about it. But yeah, I definitely have an opinion as far as which way I'm going.
Well, Pat, you got anything else to add?
I really like Neil Patrick Harris.
See, I thought he was more menacing than Smith was.
Truth. He was a much better villain than Smith was. And the bit at the end where Trinity is beating the living fuck out of him was super satisfying.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool short to it.
Yeah, I thought at one point when they were frozen in the air there and like Neo couldn't fly, I thought they were going to try and like flip it and be like, no, she was the one all along.
Well, I mean, I feel like that was kind of the point that the analyst was kind of supposed to be the true bad guy because, Smith was pretty content with things. And I don't know. I think he aligned more with Neo than with the analyst. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think I think I'm going to call thumbs up, thumbs down because we're running out of steam here. So
I had so many thoughts when I was watching it, and I didn't take any notes because I was just enjoying the movie. So yeah, poop on me.
So
twice.
Patrick, I'm going to throw to you first.
Right before we do the thumbs up, thumbs down, I'm going to be the one of those people that like you guys are talking about how everybody seems so divided on this. I'm kind of right in the middle. I mean, I didn't really love it or hate it. I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, it was there,
It was a movie.
Yeah, I mean I'm with Patrick on this one. It was good to see the old characters back. It was it was Neo and Trinity, seeing them doing their thing again. It was cool. I mean, they kind of, like you said, Joel, they kind of told the same story, and I don't think there wasn't enough new in here for me to go, oh wow, I can't wait to hear what's going to happen next.
Yeah, my favorite part, believe it or not, my favorite parts of this movie were the new stuff. Like, I mean, I like all the flashback stuff, all the showing of the old things, all the the homages, everything. I kind of got, after a while, I was like, okay, we need to move on. Like, it's like stop giving fanboy service. Is what it felt like after a while.
All right, so since you guys have started to explain your feelings on it, I want you two to start with a thumbs up, thumbs down. What does that translate into for you? And do not sideways your fucking thumb.
That's funny.
I obviously, the first Matrix, thumbs up. I mean, it was, everything that everybody talks about. It was revolutionary and well done, and so much more than just Avatar. Even though revolutionary, scientific, sci-fi speaking, and special effects speaking, similar but very different. So thumbs up for that. And I mean, it's a reluctant thumbs up, but it is a thumbs up for the new one because it's definitely not a thumbs down. Clear, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch, but I think it could have been better. I think, like Josh said, a lot of it was hindered by a lot of the COVID restrictions. So I think I would have liked to have seen this done full balls to the wall, but shit's got to get done. We got to we got to start making movies. We got to start moving on. We got to start doing some shit. You got to do what you can with what you got.
Shit's got to get done, son.
Yep.
That's funny.
All right, now on mine again, I'm with Patrick on the old one. I loved it. It was great. It was revolutionary in way of movie making and effects making and all that. So it's a total thumbs up for me. I've seen it more than a dozen times over the last, say 5 years. But for this one, it was kind of like, imagine if it's Christmas morning and your parents gave you a box that's like the same shape as a PS5 and the same weight as a PS5, but then you open it and it's full of underwear and socks. That's kind of my feeling with it. I'm giving it a thumbs down. I'm not going to
not
Joel's
even underwear
like
and socks. I say, let's say it's a PS4. It's still something good. It's still not horrible. It's not the worst thing you've gotten.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. So you open it up and it's a PS4, but you're like, hey, Mom, Dad, I already have a PS4.
Yeah, right.
I don't need another PS4.
Okay. I've been playing with a
PS5
for 20 years now, man.
Yeah, give me a PS5. That's exactly it, Patrick. That was the feeling when I watched it.
So they gave you a PS4, but PS5 games.
That's even worse.
That's even worse. Yeah, you're ruining my Christmas, dude. Shut up. But no, it's like, yeah, hey, thank you very much for this, but I already got this. So I'm gonna give it a thumbs down on this one. I'm not even gonna go back to it.
Ooh. Joel?
Ouch. Wowzer. I love the world that's created. I love the characters. I love Trinity. Despite my kind of desire to see it again before I really give 100%, yes or no kind of thing, I'm still a thumbs up because I was happy to go back to that world. I was impressed that they were able to do something that made it different, made it fresh, even though in a way it was not necessarily 100% the newest concept, to kind of get meta with it. But I thought it was done well, and I would actually enjoy seeing 2 more movies in a trilogy.
No. Getting meta with it.
That's right.
All right, so
thumbs up on both.
Comes down to me. Obviously, the original thumbs up. Like, even with the bits that I have tarnished a little bit with age and were more appropriate in '99 than they are now, it's no question the original is a thumbs up. And the new one, it is a deeply flawed movie, and I spent most of this second half pointing out those flaws and dunking on it. But despite that, the interesting parts of it were interesting enough in me that this is going to come down as a thumbs up. I think I might be a little less enthusiastic than Joel was, somewhere in the same realm as Pat. I would like to see another one. I wish that it had been a little better. And I will acknowledge Niobe was awful. I'll acknowledge that they suggested more interesting things than what they showed. And that force pushing everything, including bullets, is not as interesting as the Kung Fu in the first one. But like, especially the opening moments, like up to the shootout basically up until the appearance of Real Smith, I was enthralled. And the rest of the movie didn't manage to ruin the first 40 minutes for me. So it's going to be a thumbs up, although a heavily qualified one.
Let me also clarify that it's a thumbs up for me for the original trilogy, the Animatrix, and the new film.
We didn't ask.
Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. Just getting that
Both
on
of those
record.
responses were on brand for each of you.
So Joel, what do we have coming up next?
Hang on.
Oh wait, who did I miss?
No, just typically this is the point at which I would say, if you have your thoughts on The Matrix or any of the other topics we talk about on 40 Going on 14, let us know. Give us a call at 708-NOW-RAP. That's 708-669-9727.
Yep, and if you're looking for more of our older stuff, you can find us on pretty much any podcasting directory that you can find out there, all the way from Podbean to Pandora, Amazon, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also give us ratings on any one of those and give us some support. In the show notes is a link to our Ko-fi site. Just kind of help us pay off the podcast hosting bill every year. So thank you very much. Joel?
Yo!
What do we got coming up? That's
Well,
not West Side Story.
That's all that's on the calendar, other than, I forgot, it's not on the list here. It's on the calendar, but it's not on the little notes here. We're taking a visit to the barrio down to Sesame Street, as Dwight would call it.
Oh, yeah, they got the new set. There's a new Sesame Street thing coming out soon, too.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think we've done some talk, though we haven't officially scheduled a show. I know we're pretty close to prime for Harry Potter because the new documentary's been out for a little bit, and not too far from the new Lord of the Rings series. So
He's coming.
And there's, we also, what was it in the music chat? There's some albums that were pretty influential back in the day that are coming up on 35 years old. Good God.
Oh, and also, speaking of which, we're creeping up on that time of the year when we do the Billboard show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got to be real close. Probably another 3 weeks for us. So,
which
all
is
the
a favorite
Christmas.
of ours and a favorite of all of yours, it seems like.
Yeah, but the albums I was talking about, like 35 years old this year, are Def Leppard's Hysteria, Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, and Motley Crue's Girls, Girls, Girls. Are just 3 of those. So, I mean, there's some good stuff coming up that we've been chatting about. And like I said, if you want to get in on what our shows are going to be, definitely join us on that Discord chat.
Word.
All right. But in the meantime, we will be back next week. And thank you very much for listening.
Dodge this.
What
Damn
now?
it, Joel! Stop it!
Stop what?
Stop posting stupid memes that are gonna actually all day long. You post stuff that doesn't make me laugh, and you save the stuff that make me laugh till we're recording. It's not cool.
Yeah, stop being funny, Joel.
You do not start this shit again. I have.
Ooh. You made a turn.
Ow.
Ooh.
You sounded like an Enigma song.
Ooh. Hey, I did it. Kind of.
I do not condone this. Joel's
God,
like
man, what?
Joel's looks like one that's got the suction on it that you put on the bathroom wall. Just
Oh, I've seen those videos.
Jesus, Joel, that one looks like Burning Man. What fun.